high risk content is a really big topic for government teams. So, Amy, if you could share which electronic documents are most critical for government teams to be tackling first when it comes to ADA Title II?
So, when I think about high risk documents, my mind immediately goes to fillable forms. Your fillable forms are high risk for a couple of reasons. First, whenever inherently there's some kind of transaction going on there, I'm sharing some sort of data, I'm requesting something from the organization that I am working with, whatever it is, if I'm filling out a fillable form, there is a next step. There's a follow up on that, and there is a barrier if I am not able to fill out that form. So, since those are inherently transactional, those are going to be high risk. They're also frequently, they just happen to fall under most of the time, some of your most accessed documents. So, they're kind of two for one there. And then the other thing that makes forms high risk is that they're inherently complex. So, forms are inherently more difficult to remediate than your average document. And when they're not done correctly, they create huge barriers. So you need to have them manually remediated. They need to have considered time put into them to make them workable for people with disabilities. And so that's really what I think about. When I think about high risk documents, I think about the level of complexity, the frequency of use, and then what is the intention of that document. So you might think about other frequently accessed documents that you would consider high risk. And then I think there are other documents that maybe fall outside of your high risk category, but that are still high priority.
A great approach that we're seeing a lot of folks, a lot of organizations go with is leveraging that manual remediation for those high risk documents, right? I can't underscore enough forms, right? As a screen reader user, PDF form accessibility. I can probably count on my two hands the number of accessible forms I've encountered outside of Alliant, right?
Yeah.
It is exceedingly rare. And as of the date of this recording, I know of no automated solution out there that can take an inaccessible PDF form and make it accessible on its own. Manual remediation doesn't mean not leveraging tools, right? Just like building a website, you use tools to build a website. And so, what manual remediation means, though, is that you have human beings with accessibility document remediation expertise using the appropriate tools to ensure that those documents are in fact accessible, right? Automatic remediation is basically just what it sounds like, right? You take a document, you run it through a tool, whatever the tool might be, and out it spits a document, right? And if the document is exceedingly simple, some headings and some lists maybe, it can do all right at that type of thing. But add much complexity or add forms to it, that becomes a real problem, right? And so forms automatically fall into that high risk bucket and really require that manual remediation to ensure they're accessible. But then you can leverage that automatic remediation for that content that, let's say, doesn't fall into that high risk bucket, but also does not fall into that archival exception under Title II. Right. So you have to do something to make these accessible, right? And that's where the automatic remediation can come in. Hopefully it addresses most of the problems with it. It will increase the usability no matter what, at the very least. And then you have an accessibility statement and a process in place for users to say, hey, this document that underwent automatic remediation isn't fully accessible. I need a fully accessible version, right? And that's just a great way of kind of dividing this up, right? Archiving what you can, automatic remediation for that stuff that you can't archive but isn't high risk, high impact, and then manual remediation for that high risk, high impact content.